Okay, it's time we stop supporting male comedians, especially white dudes like this. Bear with me, I am going to go through a lot of reasons why. Please stop watching them. Please stop giving them views. Please stop buying tickets to their shows. Please stop reposting their stuff. And yes, my eye is all messed up. I can't close it. I can't stop touching it. It's a me problem. And I'm thinking maybe I should wear a patch because it's very distracting. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll do that. Anyway, OCD and anxiety this is what you get. Anyway, I'm going to cover a lot of stuff today. I've already covered this dude. I'm going to tie a bunch of stuff together. This is not just about Bill Burr and his ridiculously offensive, I hate that guy. I'm going to tell you why. He actually attacked my work at one point in time and sent his little Inchmel fan base after me. And I'll show receipts of that soon. But I'm going to tie a lot of things together now. I understand why some people like Bill Burr because he criticizes white women. And he's not wrong. But the way he does it and the fact that it's him, a powerful white man, misogynist, who is very angry at women, like, shut up, bro. Because I don't want some bald redheaded, king baby misogynist who says anti-trans jokes, misogynist. I don't want him punching down. Anybody else can punch up, but he cannot punch down. And that's what he's doing. But we'll get to that in a minute. Because he's also enabled this dude. I don't know why I'm holding a straw. I just found it on the ground. And in fact, I'm going to make a case for why you should just please support women comedians. Except the problematic ones like Amy Schumer and Sarah Silverman, who condone genocide and also who love this dude and enable predatory men. Like, don't support them, but please just, now more than ever, after what happened last week, which is nothing new, but it just woke a lot of people up as to how necessary this work is, and how right now the only power that everybody has is where you put your money. A lot of people have people don't know what to do. But the one thing you can make more informed decisions on is where you give your watch hours, where you give your money. And just, attention is how people make platforms. And this dude is selling out shows, won a Grammy, whatever. I'm gonna get to him in a minute. But let's just start with Bill Burr. What? Bill Burr, God. Anyway, so before we go backwards, let's just talk about what happened on Saturday. I'm sorry, I'm very distracted by my eye, and it's really hard not to touch it. Anyway, Bill Burr delivers SNL post-election monologue. Ladies, you're 0-2 again against this guy. Before I go into what all he's... I actually think Bill Burr suffers from what short men suffer from. It's because, I love redheads. My sister's a redhead. My niece is a redhead. Both my grandmas were redheads. So I have a place in my heart for redheads. But a lot of redheaded men act like short men, because they get bullied for having red hair and then they take it out on women. Maybe this is red hair syndrome. I don't know what it is. This man is so angry and he really hates women, and he hides behind hating white women. But I think he just hates all women, honestly. How somebody could go on Saturday Night Live and say what I'm about to read to you if you haven't seen it yet. Say all this days after, I can't think of anything more insensitive and selfish for a man to do that close. Literally, the first Saturday Night Live, he made a choice. He did not have to open up his mind. He made a choice. He could have said anything. And he could have even just attacked white women like he usually does, right? And again, I actually used to respect him for his jokes about white women because they're not wrong. And then I realized the power dynamic, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? He's doing, it doesn't feel right. Anyone but white men, who are the people that are above us, white women, when I say us, I mean me and white women. The only people above us is white men. So no, you don't get to punch down. White women can make fun of white women. any black women, black men, any people of color, literally anybody but white men. So that's the only reason why I don't like his joke, because he's punching down. God, dude, make fun of other men. Like literally, but this is what he chose to do. This is what he chose to do with his 7 minutes. He only had 7 minutes and he chose to dedicate this much of it to hating all women, not just white women, just women. This dad, this girl dad, this man with a wife decided to do this. Nice to be here on such a fun week. You know, he starts off light. We're going to keep it light. After saying he wanted to avoid politics and going into a quick riff on the flu and vaccines, Burr then tackled the elephant in the room, the re-election of Donald Trump. Now, I'm going to tell you, after I go over this, the day I started, I couldn't stand this man. And this is before he attacked me personally on Twitter. Because I saw one of his routines and I was like, oh my God, we're going to lose. This was in 2016. I saw his bit and I was like, I was afraid we were going to lose. And then I saw his bit and I was like, we're going to lose. This man is how most men think. All right, ladies. You're 0-2 against this guy, 0-2, but you learn more from the losses than your wins. So let's get into the game tape. Ladies, enough with the pantsuits, okay? It's not working. Stop trying to have respect for yourselves. This is what a father is saying. You don't win the office like on policy. You gotta whore up a little bit. I'm not saying you have to go full Hooters, but find a happy medium between Applebee's and your dad didn't stick around. You all know how to get a free drink. Make a farmer feel like he's got a shot. Swing a state over a little bit. Okay. There's so many things wrong with this one paragraph. What the hell are we supposed to wear? Whatever women wear, the men are going to criticize. Stop trying to have... I mean, I know he's joking, but y'all, listen. Men's jokes are never just jokes, okay? I tell you this about if you date men. And by the way, you know, I do actually have... I should have specified that. Stop following... I'm not saying that gay men can't be unbelievably misogynistic. They absolutely can. But there's a lot of gay male comedians, non-binary, trans male, that I really respect. But please stop following men like this. Look out for misogyny anywhere, but please stop following men like that. Okay. You don't win the office on policy. Like, I don't even need to go through this, okay? But what the hell? What dad? After one of maybe the most upsetting days in like I don't know how long, but in a long time, one of the most upsetting days in the United States for many women. A lot of women are just like, fuck you, fuck all you, I don't care. You know, the trad wives, like all of whatever. I'm not gonna go. I've already done a lot of videos on this. But we're all gonna find out soon. Who says you gotta up a little bit? I honestly, like, this man is most men. This man, among some of the other men I'm going to go into, are why we are where we are. And your dad didn't stick around. Like, the whole daddy issues things, first of all, you will never convince me that men don't have more daddy issues than us. Of course we have daddy issues. And of course, a lot of times women's issues with dating aren't necessarily about their dad. A lot of women who've had any abusive parent of any gender go on to have, maybe abusive relationships, or just toxic or, not healthy ones, because a parent taught them that. It doesn't have to be a dad. But most of these men who hate us were raised by single moms who did everything for them. And maybe some of those single moms are abusive or maybe enmeshed. We know that's a big problem. We got to really start dealing with the toxic boy mom stuff and making him the man of the house, which is so unbelievably inappropriate. This is not your boyfriend. He's not your surrogate husband. He's literally, they're children. So again, we have a lot of work to do on ourselves. So let's just, like, the more we just, Let's leave them to work it out among themselves. It is time for men to step up and work on de-radicalizing men. Unless men are going to pay me to help you, I'm not doing it for you. I'm not doing it anymore. I already gave you some resources in that viral article, and then people like Bill Burr attacked me for it anyway. But men's daddy issues, and some of it is their mommy issues. But y'all, like, you literally take out what your dad did to you on hating your mom and blaming her for not being there for you, even though she literally wasn't getting child support maybe, or like just had to work like for all the time because this man ran out on her, you know, just left her or cheated or whatever. So many single moms are in a position of not being able to parent because they didn't have a lot of support, because they were married to men. Because like, if you're married to the wrong man, you are going to become more and more isolated. More and more isolated, so that when he leaves, you don't have much. You don't have much because you haven't had time to invest in your community and your friendships, because these men are exhausting. And then single moms are raising children and boys see them doing everything. And they think every woman should do everything. And they haven't dealt with all those hard feelings around daddy. So who do they blame? Mom, girlfriend, wife, daughter, coworker, granddaughter, like, you know? So this whole, like, stop blaming us for how much dads suck. Not all dads, hashtag. He then added that he was happy that this stupid election was finally over. Oh, what a silly dumb. This is exactly how we talked about the 2016 election before Donald won the first time. I saw it live at a show. Like, we need to, everyone's pointing fingers right now, and it makes sense because people are really upset. And it's complicated. There's I've been making videos on white women, but it's not just us, clearly. I'm not even ever going to say it's just us. I'm saying we got to work on our stuff because we are enabling a system and men in our personal lives within this system to do so much harm to everybody. White women are the foot soldiers of patriarchy. I mean, women in general are. But we have access to the most powerful people on the planet. Even if, like, the men in our lives are not rich and billionaires or whatever, they still have more power systemically, collectively, than ever. And we just do everything for them. Enable them, make excuses for them, all this crap. I'm done. They can fix themselves. We got to work on ourselves. That is what I'm going to be focusing more. I'm going to talk about men, but I'm always going to try to bring it back to, let's stop enabling this system. And what can we do to do that? Well, one thing you can do is stop watching these comedians. I mean, it's hard to not support male comedians sometimes. I'm not saying all of them are bad. I'm just saying a lot of them, if you realize they just, casual misogyny or whatever, stop. There are so many funny people out there. And one of the reasons why women have such a hard time in comedy is because literally when I was in school, the Upright Citizens Brigade, which was started by Amy Poehler, that conversation was in the news every day. Her and Tina Fey were like, I don't know why y'all keep saying, are women funny? Comedians, if you ask me, the comedy should be about truth. It should not be about bullying and punching down. If I make fun of white men, I'm not punching down, I'm punching up. I'm allowed to do that. If anyone makes fun of white women and they're punching up, I respect that and I actually appreciate that, because sometimes we are so violent and defensive, we won't even listen to what anyone says unless it's hidden in a joke. Unless a cishet white man has worked on himself a lot and is aware of his privilege and also has dealt with his trauma, which being in the comedy world, that's why I wouldn't date most men. And I was like, y'all are so messed up. You have so much pain from your childhood. I don't know what you went through, but you are so angry. And you hide it behind jokes. I have some comedians, friends who are male, but they're few and far between because I usually end up being very disappointed. Not always. But if you ask me, the people who are closest to the truth are usually the ones who've been forced to understand the truth in the worst ways possible. So women understand men more than men understand themselves because we have to survive men. Black, Indigenous, and other people of color understand white people more than we understand ourselves because they have to survive our violence and the threat of our violence constantly. LGBTQ plus people understand straight people better than we understand ourselves because they have been harmed by us and have to survive us. Do you get where I'm going here? So to me, the people I usually find the funniest are the ones who speak truth because whether they want to or not, they understand people in general the most. Who do you think understands people the most? Some angry, balding, redhead white man, right? And you know, the only reason why I mentioned the balding thing is because I try not to make fun of people based on their looks, especially something they can't. But the only reason why I talk about men's height or today, red hair, or even balding is so many men are so insecure. Men are so dangerous. And a lot of times the things they're insecure about make them bigger bullies. You know? That's why I've known plenty of amazing short men. But those are only men who grow up either in loving families and learned emotional intelligence or like have deconstructed this stuff or whatever. But the ones who haven't are so insecure. That's why men who are not that attractive, you know, traditionally attractive, conventionally attractive, and they date beautiful women end up oftentimes abusing those women because they're just so insecure they don't feel like they deserve. Anyway, comedy should be rooted in truth, but it also should not be about bullying and punching down. That's why the Tosh O. I grew up when Tosh O. God. Remember that? He had some set and he was like, maybe I should rape you to like an audience member who didn't like one of his jokes. Like he literally threatened violence in the middle of his set. And people were like, don't cancel him. You know, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. These pranks that men play on their wives, it's just a joke. I hate you, but I'm joking. I'll like smash cake in your face on our wedding day and ruin your makeup job, the dress, your hair, like thousands of dollars. Just to show people how much I hate you. And then I'm like, it's just a joke. Do not take men's jokes lightly. If they are doing pranks and jokes at your expense are rooted in hatred of women or just you personally. So the stupid election's over, is finally over, as it was a long process to determine what was already a foregone conclusion. Everybody knew who they were voting for 4 years ago. This is like the dumbest comment. This totally negates everything that's happened in the last year and why a lot of people refuse to vote for Kamala. I've already talked about that. This is why a lot of people did the protest votes and all that stuff. Like, I'm sorry, but I would have voted for Biden, even though, whatever. But it absolutely matters who is running. This is like the dumbest comment. It's like not even true. God. Oh, you don't think misogynoir had any place in this whatsoever? Or I don't know, like, oh my God. Like, who is sitting there watching the debate still undecided? I mean, on some level he has a point because, I mean, I don't even, what's the right word? She did so well in the debates. Like, it wasn't even question, you know? Like, it was like, I remember the 2016 debates with Hillary, and that man was like a tiger on the stage with her, following, like, it was so hard to watch those debates. Not with Kamala. She was not afraid of that man, and I loved it. He's scared of her. Like, nothing he could do could shake her confidence, and I loved that. So, yeah, on some level, people who were going to vote for him were going to vote for him no matter what. But all the people who were like, protest vote, you know, all the things I've already gone over, I don't know, whatever. I can't believe Trump didn't win this 4 months ago. When I was a kid, if you were running for president and you shot and didn't die, that was the end of the election. There's nothing you can say. Everybody would just go, that guy's the man, he's the king. God, I don't have time to discuss all of every single joke, and this is all so dumb. This is so dumb. I mean, he's not totally wrong in that people fell for it. As soon as that man got shot in the ear, which I'm not even sure that was real, I was like, oh God. All these men and women, but especially men, are gonna, like Knitting Cult Lady talks about that too. As soon as that happened, she was like, oh, here we go. the cult is threatened. The leader of the cult's threatened. Now everyone's gonna be like, oh, he survived. It's like the most classic trick in the book. And then he goes in this whole thing about McDonald's, whatever. Blah. So before I get to some of this stuff, his enabling of predators, let's just go into some of the stuff that he's done. So my main criticism of him, other than him punching down, is, and again, if he was just, it's the way he's doing it. I like that he calls out white women. If I have time, I'm going to go into that, or maybe I'll do a part 2 about Karen. And the things he was trying to joke about, which I think are important. But if he wasn't so misogynistic in general, I would take him more seriously. But he can't call out white women without exposing how much he hates us at the same time, either in the joke itself or like later on. So he keeps trying to play this both sides thing. You can't do that. You know, you can't do that. You can't equate these two things, right? So it's some joke at Red Rocks or something. He said, everybody has an opinion. This is one of his sets a while ago, as I do. And I apologize that you're not going to, that you have to listen to mine, because I'm going to tell you now, I have a really weird take on abortion. I'm 100% pro-choice, always have been. Pro-choice made sense to me because I don't like people telling me what to do. However, I still think you're killing a baby. See? That's where it gets weird. So even like, and then he goes on, and he says, Burr stated he doesn't agree with those who believe a fetus is not an embryo. That'd be like if I was making a cake and I poured some batter in a pan and I put it in the oven, and then 5 minutes later you come by and grab the pan and threw it across the floor. And threw it across the floor. And I went, you just ruined my birthday cake. And then you were like, well, that wasn't a cake yet. It's like, well, it would have been, if you didn't do what you just did, it would have been a cake in like 50 minutes. Something happened to that cake. You cake man. So, like, these kinds of jokes, well, they have an impact. These are not babies. This is not a baby. That's not a baby. And apparently, not only is Bill Burr too good to read my article and instead makes fun of it, he doesn't read any articles like this one. Early abortion looks nothing like what we've been told. Times did a great art. Jessica Valenti, follow her. She's the one who's like knows everything about abortion. That's literally what she's been researching and writing about for forever. A lot of women, especially, were like, no, baby, and then they see these pictures and they're like, oh, yeah. This isn't what I was told either. Even that, this is the most absurd joke. Then he adds, of course, because, before all you pro-life people come after me, blah, blah, blah. There's too many of us, blah, blah, blah. But the damage has been done. The damage has been done. It is not a baby. It is not a baby. That one line that he added, and then the comparison about the cake, that does damage. I didn't see this material, but apparently he has railed against the WNBA. He recalls a run-in with a lesbian in New York. In Louis C.K.'s 2017 made the same stupid joke about the cake. So this article, Bill Burr's new Netflix special exposes the problem with both sides comedy. This guy thinks he's George Carlin, but I love George Carlin. I mean, his stuff, I haven't seen any yet that, whatever. Probably some problematic takes out there. But his stuff has been aging very well. This guy is no George Carlin. And, he's angry, but mainly at women. And he positions himself as on most issues as both sides are bad. Bah! Yeah! Make fun of what, like, both sides, but one is, like, dangerous. Also, is one of the many white men especially who just loves to talk about cancel culture as if it impacts men's lives at all. Even when they are convicted, like Harvey Weinstein. They just get unconvicted all the time, too. According to Burr, after all the bad men were rounded up, a thing that definitely did not happen, some identified they used their new tool called cancel culture to get rid of some men that maybe were in your way. Basically, he's saying, you know, women, they're just be lying, right? Like, they're just false accusations. We just want to, instead of sleeping our way to the top, which is what he's kind of encouraging in his set on Saturday, it was like, can't you just be like a Hooters girl? A little bit. So a farmer thinks he has a chance. No, we're not sleeping our way. We are cancel culturing our way to the top. Come on. I too would love to know some examples. And when he talks about getting rid of some of these men, you know, he's brought up John Wayne, who died in 1979. And then every once in a while, people on Twitter will be like, that man was racist. And he was. That's not cancel culture. Nothing happened. People are like, hey, did you know that this man was messed up or he did this? They're dead. But even the ones who are alive, nothing usually really happens to them. James Franco just is premiering his newest movie, and they interviewed him for I forget which. I covered this like a couple weeks ago. He has made a full comeback. Never stopped working. He just went underground. Yet Burr points out to the moment as proof that both Me Too movement and cancel culture have gone too far. Too far. He also brought up Sean Connery. How some people on Twitter brought up Sean Connery's past about hitting women when he died. The dude didn't get canceled. Also, he's dead. A lot of people don't really talk about it until someone died. But nothing happened to him. It's a big deal that this man literally bragged about hitting women in interviews. What is wrong with talking about that? Shut up, Bill. Here's his joke. And one of his specialists says, you're not allowed to say someone looks like a lesbian while it's perfectly fine to describe a certain college-age white man as looking like a date rapist. Those aren't the same, Bill. So actually, I want to talk about some of the statements that he said around white women, but I think that deserves its whole video because there's so much I want to go into, and I think there's a lot I want to talk about in that because, again, it's actually really important that we discuss the history of Karen. And I've been wanting to talk about that. I've talked about this plenty of times, but I'm going to do a whole video on just that and use Bill Burr's jokes to go into that. Because that is the only thing I've actually think is that I respect about his joke, is that he brought that conversation to the table. But you know what? Like, it's the way. But like, all this, he's doing this thing that like, because white women are racist, I don't care about them at all. And anything they say is BS. That's how he kind of phrases this stuff. If he just was like, yeah, we're hypocrites, la 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 la, fully agree, fair, accurate, historically accurate. And any white women who follow me before you're like, what are you talking about? I'm going to show you. I'm going to give, but it's like a history lesson. This is literally what I studied in college for a long time because I was like, wow, I was lied about everything. Lied to about everything. So I had to learn this part of our history to understand why we are where we are. But that's a whole video. So that'll be a part 2. Also, just like the way he talks about his kids sounds like all cute, but it's also like, ew. Oh, he just did the rotisserie chicken. So just like all men, having a child gives them so much social, whether they're actually there for that child or parent at all or deadbeat, doesn't seem to matter because they're just having children automatically we're supposed to respect them. Gives them so much social capital. So like when he's talking about his daughter, who was born in 27, he revealed that whenever he started flipping out, whatever that means, his daughter, who was 4.5 years old at the time, would help him stop. He explained, the second I hear that cute voice, I can't. I just think, Dada, I'm sorry. Burr went on to recall coming into the kitchen one day and voicing his frustration over a new toaster. He said, all of a sudden, she'll just be like, in the other room, be like, Dad, don't scream like that. And the second I hear that little voice, I'm like, you're right, buddy. You're right, buddy. So, in addition to cooling his famous temper, because that's all women are. We just manage the moods of men. Thank God he had a daughter, because what would he do with that temper otherwise? Oh, God, I hate the way they talk about their children, their daughters. And Burr has also become sensitive to his family's needs. In an interview in 2019, he had a different ending to his set up until right before they taped for one of those Netflix specials. I I called an audible because the joke was about my daughter being born and me feeling some crazy feelings. And I just thought it would hurt her feelings if she ever saw that. Oh, that sounds very thoughtful. That's what you should probably be doing before you make every joke. It was more my issue, but I was just worried that she wouldn't process it that way and that I never want to hurt her. So I was just like, I don't need to do that. Cool, bro. I'm glad you are not making jokes about your daughter. Thank God he's not dragging his daughter. But how can you, knowing you have a daughter and a wife, make jokes like that? What, 5 days after? Like, so I'm going to go into the Karen stuff, the history behind that, and why we do need to talk about that. But I'm tired of Bill Burr talking about it because he cannot seem to take misogyny out of any criticisms of white women in our history. He can't see, if he wasn't so misogynistic, I would appreciate what he's doing. But I want to talk about the moment I realized I can't stand this man. This was in 2016. I searched for so long to figure out what show this was. I never go to comedy shows anymore, especially since I did comedy for so long and went to so many shows as a comedian. I only go if I know I'm gonna like them. I have sat through hundreds of hours of Improv 101 and all that stuff. And also, like, it's just like movies. It's hard for me to watch movies without overly criticizing them because I understand how the sausage is made in the sausage factory. So whenever I watch a movie, I'm like, oh, I bet there's a boom operator there and there's probably a set dresser hiding behind that couch. Like, I've been on too many sets to watch movies unless they're really good to not think about all the moving parts behind the scenes. And also as a writer, if it's not like a really good script, I'm like, oh, come on. So the only reason I went to this show was because a friend of mine was like, had free tickets to it. It was at like a pretty, big venue in LA. It was like all these big comedians. And I should have known. Going to a comedy show in 2016 where it was only men on the bill, which is very common still. That's how it's always been. And most of them are white men, of course, and cishet men. This Jim Jeffries dude. I remember him and Bill Burr's sets, and that's when I knew we're losing this election. I think it's easy when you live in like on the East Coast or the West Coast, and you're kind of in a bubble. You don't realize how a lot of U.S. Americans think. But any of us who grew up in like Trump country and go back there for Thanksgiving or holidays or any holiday and around family members that you are that you have to argue with a lot. But you also have to be tactical because you want them to hear you, and then some of them there's no getting through to them, but you have to be, because I don't believe you should just cut off all of them. That's how we are here. And this is the work we have to do as white people, is try to, we are not in danger talking to other white people. The same way Anthony knows there's certain men, I won't talk to you about feminism. If I like size them up and I'm like, oh, yep, I don't feel safe with this man, then he will talk to that person, right? I'm not doing it. I'm not going to be harmed trying to educate a man that I'm a human, right? So I have to be strategic. Will I cut off labor? Like, it's complicated. I can do a whole video on how to navigate this, because I don't think just like we have to do the hard work of having hard conversation. We also have to be very strategic in who will actually listen to us and who is just literally going to waste our time and energy and defeat us so that we stop doing it. Anyway, this comedy show in LA and how they were talking about Hillary and Trump, I knew we were going to lose. I don't even remember the jokes. I remember I never even heard of Jim Jeffries because I don't follow most male comedians because I just find them most to be annoying and bullies. White men especially. But Jim Jeffries was making some jokes. This is right after like the grabbing thing. And he just kept talking about it, but he wasn't really criticizing it. He was talking about it in a way where it was like making it funny and minimizing it rather than turning the joke into like the way you tell a joke. I'm not against grape jokes. It's what is the point? What's the message? If it's to minimize, to make fun of, like that, stop doing them. Men should not be making those jokes unless it's about your own grape, right? But I tell grape jokes all the time because they're coming from a place of like a survivor's perspective, right? I've heard some men make grape jokes that create awareness around grape rather than minimalizing, trivializing, and just making fun of it or using it as a threat. And the way this Jim Jeffries or whatever was talking about it, I was like, ew, this was like a really hard moment for women to hear this man running for president to talk about women and assaulting us. And he's just joking about it. He was like, what does that even mean? How do you grab? He just, God, I was like, oh my God, really? Wow, okay. And then Bill Burr got on and he hated Hillary. And, you know, he had valid reasons for it. A lot of people do. I mean, we all have, like, whatever, this isn't about Hillary. But the anger in the way he talked, like so many of his jokes it was so clear he hated her. And he never endorsed Trump, to my knowledge. The way he talked about her, any men in that audience who were like, I'm like, especially leftist men who were like pissed about, or women who were pissed about Bernie, could have been swayed by this set. I remember thinking, oh, wow, like, I don't really like her that much, but I'm going to vote for her, but I'm pretty sure no one in this room is after this, after how hard they're laughing at his jokes about her. So I believe that men like this, and of course, Joe Rogan is just full on endorses him and like all of these men. But like even the Bill Burrs who like to, I believe he exploits his family, his proximity to blackness as a way to getting away with saying anything he wants. As if he is just he himself is woke. He knows more than the rest of us. But then he can literally promote the worst things and be like, both sides, whatever, I make fun of everybody. And I'm not saying you can't make fun of everybody, but the way you do, how much you do, how violent those jokes are, intention behind those jokes, all of that is very important. And we have to pay attention to that. Because, God, so yeah, I knew then, I was like, oh God, we're going to lose. And then we lost. Comedians have the power to move the needle so much in their jokes. And yet, white men are still, cishet white men especially, are still like at the top. And everyone else is lucky to get a mic, to be booked on a show, to get paid, to have their podcast. Like Joe Rogan, how is that man the most ridiculous man? How is he the most successful podcaster? I don't get it. I mean, I do, but I hate it. So, you know, Jim Jeffries, whose real name is Jeff James Nugent. No wonder he changed his name. Maybe that's why he said, well, we're going to find out soon. Maybe one of the reasons why he has such misogynistic jokes, besides blaming his mother, is he was probably made fun of. So many of these men who are big comedians are just, you know, inchmills. Maybe he was probably a loser. Who knows? Like I'm telling you, don't ever think these dorks in high school, Revenge of the Nerds, there's a reason why those movies were so popular for Gen X. You know, the football players were terrible, and then the nerds are terrible because all they wanted to do was grape us. I mean, he's made Stokes just like how easy it is for women to be. Okay, I'm not even going to go into that one. I don't believe I'm a misogynist. But that's probably what a misogynist would say. Women are half the population. I'm going to make jokes about them. Yeah, of course you can make jokes about women. How you make your jokes and what you say is important. I don't know. Maybe you should run these jokes by women. Clearly you're not. He blames it on his mom. She was a very hard woman. She was physically and verbally very abusive. So sometimes I imagine I have a chip on my shoulder about women. Yeah. I love that you can have that level of self-awareness and stop there. Great. Thanks. Great. You know why you do it, but you're still going to do it. Wow, how big of you. God! You know, he even said this once. Now, I've been known to make occasional inappropriate or sexist joke, My act is what you call an acquired taste. This is what they all say. But I've always believed in my audience, that my audience understood that those are jokes. And they don't represent my actual beliefs. What? What? Oh my God. Okay. Self-explanatory. He's also said, there was a phase in my career where I felt I was telling the audience what they needed to know. Wow, that's what we need more than anybody, is white people telling what everybody needs to know, but especially men. Everybody needs to know my thoughts in my head. A journal wouldn't be a good place for this. Private discussions. No, everybody needs to know my misogynistic thought. I've done all on the gun control, and he has. Those jokes at that show, I remember loving those jokes. That's why when he first got on, I was like, okay, we might be okay here. Oh, because I love how people outside of the U.S., although sometimes they do it in a terrible way, because they don't understand the U.S. Most of the times when people outside the U.S. make jokes about pew-pew control, I'm like, shut up. Just shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Shut up. This is something that traumatizes millions of people and a whole generation of children doing these drills in the classroom, and y'all are like, oh, cool, America. Good luck with your school unit. Those kinds of jokes made me crazy. Maybe he's done some of those. I don't know. But I remember the jokes that he did were criticizing U.S. American culture, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty accurate. And then he started talking about women. And then I was like, fork you. He's talked about atheism and religion, blah, blah, blah. Sure. Why don't you make fun of men, bro? You'll talk about anything but make fun of men in the way they need to be made fun of. Anyway, so he did this Rolling Stones interview. Look at this guy. Any man who does like that and looks at you like that, I don't want to listen to you. You already think you're an arrogant prick. I was stupid. Remember, I did that whole James Franco breakdown of the way men will minimize their harm. And I was stupid. I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't have a misogynistic bone in my body, even though I hated my mom, because I was just stupid. Stupid. He had the audacity to say this and that in a Vulture interview, acquired taste. But I've always believed that many audience understood my belief. Then came the day when a large part of America was willing to write off the as locker room talk. Yeah, you're one of those people. I heard your set. You were writing it off in the way you talked about it. At first I was like, okay, he's going to talk about this, good. And then I was like, oh, but you ruined it and now you just minimized it. Great. I started to think, and if the latest news made me realize anything, is that we men have been incredibly ignorant about what's happening right underneath our nose, even though I'm literally making these jokes and minimizing things. It's happening under all these people. It's happening. Right? How can I be so stupid? Then he goes into all this crap. I'm not even going to read it because it is BS. He even said in an interview, complete distaste for Trump's politics, but he also admitted a small urge to vote for him just to see what happens. Well, how brave. See people die because you're curious? A little experiment? In the same interview, he was all, look, I always thought I was a good person. This is what white women say. This is why I've been saying we need to get away from, where is she? Hold on. Hey, I'm good though. I'm doing my best. I know I keep going off on these tangents. Also, I've had to record this video twice because the sound was off for the whole second half. Anyway, maybe that's a good mistake. The point is that in anybody who doesn't understand, I keep getting, why are you talking about racism so much? Oh my God, my eye's getting worse. Oh, why? White supremacy culture and patriarchy, capitalism, all of these systems of oppression, they're all tied together. And you cannot, you wouldn't have racism without patriarchy. You wouldn't have patriarchy without racism at this point. They are so connected. And so let's get away from being like good or bad. Are you on the good list or the bad list? Because if you're on the good list, that means you can literally do anything and you're fine. And you get lazy or you get to hide. Predators hide. Men hide as a good guy all the time. And then if you're like all bad, then why would you change? What's the point? What's the point? Fork it. Fork everybody, right? But if we can admit, and this is why I talk about, I catch misogyny in my thoughts all the time. And I'm like, wait, who put that there? Where did that really mean thought come from? Whether it's towards myself or someone else. I'm like, ugh, right? I don't know. It could be the movies, music, culture that I was like indoctrinated in from the day I was born. It could be individuals. It's probably a combination of all. Wherever that voice, it's not my fault that voice is there, but it is my responsibility to stop listening to it, start seeing what it's really about, doing the hard work of being like, oh, wow, I need to have a lot of hard conversations. And I need to let go of her who wants to be liked and doesn't want to challenge anybody ever about the, any racism or misogyny even. We will just laugh off jokes at ourselves or other women. Anyway, whatever. Back to the point is that one of the first steps in dismantling all this stuff is to not fall into I'm a good person. Oh my God. There's parts about myself I like, and there's parts about myself I really don't like, and I'm trying to change, and it's going to take a while. And also, don't put anyone on a pedestal. Please don't put me on a pedestal. Please let me make mistakes. I'm not saying that comedians are not allowed to make mistakes. In no way. I just want to see changed behavior, and I also want you to acknowledge what you did instead of being like, oh, well, I was kind of sexist sometimes, but I've come around. I want you to really understand the impact, because he went on to say, oh, it was the Trump election that made me realize what a problem this is. Harvey Weinstein, okay, but it was really Trump election, really. Even though I literally watched you, dude. I watched you minimize. I watched you literally talk these men are one of the reasons why we are where we are. But not women. So please, if you follow this man, please don't. Please don't. He platforms the worst people. I've seen some great people on his show. I've seen some of the most violent people. And this guy he got his start. Didn't he get his start, having people eat ants and stuff? I don't know how this man got this career. I'm sorry, and some of you probably love him. But he had Trump on his show. And he's friends with Chris D'Elia, and there's a lot of the people in his little circle are whatever. I'm just, I'm not trying to cancel anybody because it's not going to cancel anybody. I'm just saying, please, when you catch yourself consuming men's content and they are not actively deconstructing this stuff, and then please stop. But honestly, or trad wife content, pick me content, any of this stuff, please stop giving them your energy and your time and your watch hours, because that is how they are making money, and why you don't see more work by people deconstructing and challenging these systems and empowering people, not empowering in the let's dominate the world and unalive everybody way. And if you are following this man, please stop. Every time I talk about this man, there's at least one woman in my comments that, I love Jordan Harrison. Yeah, I used to think he had some valid stuff going on. And then I started realizing that he is very anti-trans, very anti-woman. I'm not even going to go into it because I don't want to talk about it. If you literally just Google Jordan Peterson, sexism, or you'll find the articles. Maybe I'll talk about him again later. I'm so tired of talking about him. But, comedians like this. I did a whole video on this dude. Sorry, this dude. This dude. This whole platform on women's watch hours, women, and then as soon as he got famous enough, what does he do? Fork all y'all, and I'm going to talk to Jordan Peterson. A lot of male feminists steal our labor and then talk about it and again, exploit women's hope. Oh my God, a man, look at him. If a man is talking to women and seems to be catering to women, don't follow him. He knows men aren't going to watch him. He's literally catering to you, and he's taking time and energy and money away from women doing the exact same work based on our lived experiences. If you're going to buy an anti-racism book, don't buy one written by a white woman called White Fragility. Read the 100 other ones that are more amazing, written by Black women or any person of color might understand it a little bit more and should get paid for it. I'm so tired of these dudes. They always make a comeback. He's not a comedian, but I already did a deep dive on him. Christopher Nolan totally brought him back. Thanks. Great. We got 2 Afflecks who are a mess. Let's talk about him and Bill Burr's role in this. Bringing this man back. Now, let's pay attention to some dates here. 2015, there were rumors going around about his Louis C.K.'s look at you. Behavior, inappropriate behavior. And when I was a comedian at the time, I remember people talking about this. I was not big enough to ever be on a stage with him. But I remember it was everybody knew. Everybody knew, don't be alone with this dude. So shout out. Roseanne Barr. Okay. I don't want to shout out anything to her. Woo! But Jen Kirkman, Tig Notaro. People were trying to call him for a while. And then 2 years later, September 2017, Tig cuts ties with him and said that he should address the rumors. Also, if you've never seen One Mississippi, go watch it. It is such an amazing show. I think it was only one season, but I loved it when it came out. Later that day, New York Times publishes all these allegations, 5 women. And unlike a lot of these men, he admitted to it. These stories are true. Forget the non-apology apology. These stories are true. So, again, allegations come out in September of 2017. And in the wake of the scandal, he suffered from severe repercussions. The 2018 fallout taken him through hell and back. Let's pay attention to that word, back. Oh, men get canceled. They never come back. Well, he went to hell, but he came back. He lost 35 million, whatever, but he came back. Won a Grammy? He's thriving. He's not the same level he was before that, but he's got plenty of fans, and a lot of those fans are women. I swear, by the time I'm done with this is gonna, this is so stressful. I need to put like an ice pack on this. I don't understand. I'm not even touching anymore. The glasses help, because otherwise I'd just be touching it. Anyway, I'm sorry. I hope this is like not hard for y'all to watch. It's hard for me to watch my eye. So, all this stuff, upon the way. 2018. The return. August 26, 2018. That is less than 1 year after that New York Times article. Sorry, I'm getting like paranoid about this now. It's getting bigger as I talk. Just less than a year later, he gets a standing ovation, or an ovation, I don't know if it was standing or not, when he did a little set in the comedy. So he was trying to, read the room, see if we would let him come back. Why are these so crooked on my head? This must be hard for y'all to watch me do this. Some people, criticize him trying to come back. Who did not? Bill Burr, Sarah Silverman, Joe Rogan, Kurt Metzger. He was also outed as an, predator. Allegedly, they all supported his right to continue stand-up. Jerry Seinfeld also supported Suke's return to stand-up. Now, I am not a fan of that man either. Woo! I mean, besides the fact that he was dating a teenager in high school when he was, late 30s, early 40s, whatever. Why? Oh my God. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm a mess today. I'm a mess. But everything he said in the last year, Google him. Google all that Jerry Seinfeld's been up to in the last year. You probably won't like him up anymore. But he said this. We know the routine. The person does something wrong. The person's humiliated. They're exited. They suffer. We want them to suffer because we're just a violent mob who doesn't want predatory men to abuse women to make millions. God, we want them to suffer. We want them to suffer. We love the tumble. We love the crash and bang of the fall. Speak for yourself, buddy. I don't like violence as much as you do. Or genocide. The grovel. Are you going to grovel? How long are you going to grovel? We, the court of public opinion. Men love talking about this court. Who is the judge of this court? I want to see this court. Where are the jurors? Who is this court? Who's running this court? I don't know. I get it. I am not perfect. You're not perfect. None of these people are perfect. Everyone's allowed to make mistakes. And this idea that you're not allowed to make mistakes and grow and learn is why I'm like, please let me mess up. Please let me be wrong. Let me have a take every once in a while that's off. And then I will learn from it, hopefully, and change. But this whole men, all the men that usually I can't stand the comedy they do, especially because they're usually enabling predators or something. They always talk about the court of public opinion. It's not that I don't believe. I know that we can be ridiculous. I know we can. I read the comments of women on my page and I'm like, wow, you really want me to fail real bad, don't you? I'm not denying that exists. But this court of public opinion, that men love to just be like, God, this stupid thing. I mean, it could be that, no one ever, we never get any justice. Maybe. They decide if he's going to come back, he'd better show a lot of pain because he denied the public fact. No, I just don't want to see that man's face ever again on my TV, on my computer, or my phone, because I know that he was doing this and ruined the careers of multiple women. So, and I did a deep dive a while ago. One of the accusers regrets it because her life was kind of ruined because nothing happened to him. God, Eddie Falco, Alan Alda, they're all like, hey, hope he comes back. On December 30th, so like just a little over a year, audience recorded secretly one of his sets, and he was making fun of the Parkland survivor, joking about school like, of all things. Of all things, who was defending Ricky Gervais? Of course, was like, oh come on, can't we joke about that? January 2020, he performed an unannounced set, receiving a standing ovation, standing this time, at an event that a yearly event which comedian Bill Burr is the organizer of. So thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill, because you helped usher this man back into our world. April 4, 2020, a self-released new stand-up special. Amy Schumer. She laughed. It's hard to not think of what he did, but I definitely laughed. Maybe you should just say nothing at all. I can't. Anyway, and then we can't forget about Blanche, or as you know, my Southern in me and Golden Girls in me be like, Blanche. She made me so mad. She's like, oh my God, I grew up worshiping him and now I'm dating him. This is a French comedian. And wouldn't you know, by August 2021, less than 3 years after his cancellation, he is doing Madison Square Garden. 2 nights. Going on Joe Rogan, of course. Another stand-up comedy special. Oh, April 2022. Wins the Grammy for Best Comedy Album. I know those are not all men buying that album. I'm sure there's some women. So many people, and especially women, will never get an opportunity to do comedy because people keep going to shows like this. He admitted it, y'all. He admitted it. Destroyed the careers of multiple women, admitted it, and gets a Grammy after. Sells out Madison Square Garden after. He is just thriving, y'all. And then after I wrote that viral article, Harper's Bazaar, men have no friends and women bear the burden. You know, I was surprised at how big of a reception I got, positive reception from men. I figured I was going to get trolled by so many men, and I did, but not until this forker did this tweet. It was like probably one of the biggest moments of my entire career. No, the biggest moment of my entire career, okay? And I was so proud. I worked so hard on this article to talk about men loneliness and how it impacts us. And then I gave resources about what they can do to fix it. Instead of just being like, this sucks, this sucks. No, half the article, is me interviewing men and telling them, sharing how they are deconstructing this and how they're forming men's groups. I'm going to do another video soon about the downside to men's group and what I want to warn people about before you start your own. This guy, Eddie P, whoever that is, this article is the root cause of about half of Bill Burr's early material. He's been talking about these themes for years. Oh, wow. You're the only one, Bill. You're the only one who knew that men have no friends and la, 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 la. It feels like he's insinuating that I like just stumbled upon this. And I definitely probably stole it from Bill Burr. Like, this guy must not have read the first half of the article. The first half is why we want y'all to get friends. Because you are ruining our lives. And that we are done. And we're done making you be social creatures. And we're done being your free therapist. And then I got as far as Kelly's story, though extreme, is a common example. So let me show you how far Bill Burr got before he tweeted this. And then I got flooded by men all of a sudden like attacking me. Up until this tweet, I got a little bit of hate, but I got so much, because a lot of men felt seen. They felt seen. They also were like, oh, cool, some solutions. Even though they still emailed me, somehow found my email and were like, Manny, what do I do though? You literally have a whole article with resources and telling me exactly what to do. I'm going to find your email and ask you, because I'm a helpless little boy. I don't know what to do. Help me. I am not going to be the mother of internet men. Do it yourself. So this article right here, this one that he's talking about. So we get through that first paragraph, and then Kelly's story, though extreme, is a common example. Bill Burr stops. Doesn't bother reading it, but makes fun of it. Thanks. I can tell you didn't read it. Anyway, let me know what you think about this topic. I've been talking way too long and my eye's getting worse. I need to put some ice on it. Thank you for listening. Please feel free in the comments, write any suggestions of other comedians. I don't know, just people that are, yeah, let's tell each other who to follow instead, and who are only making it worse. So anyway, thanks for listening. Please join my Patreon if you like this. It really helps me continue to do this work. And voila!